for this webinar is to really increase awareness of OER in Canada. And I'm going to go through and just mute a few, just a heads up that I'm going to mute everyone except for the presenters, just for the sake of ease. When we get to the panel conversation later, we'll just do questions via the chat, if that works for everyone. My apologies, this is my very first massive group webinar. I've done plenty of webinars, but not with a number of presenters. So please forgive me if I experience any kind of technical difficulties, but shoot me a text in the chat if you have an issue with your webinar. So welcome to our Your Students Textbook Broke. We're so pleased, obviously, to have such a wonderful turnout and are excited to discuss the issue of affordability in higher education and how OER is helping to combat the issue with the assistance of our wonderful OER All-Star panel. We hope to increase OER awareness, access, and adoption. So we're going to go through here. So just to give you a quick introduction to our panel, and they'll talk a little bit more about what they do as we move along. Haley Babb joins us from Spark. She's also a student advocate for OER. Amanda Coolidge joins us from BCcampus. She's the Associate Director of Open Education. Lillian is joining us from eCampusOntario. She is the Digital Access and OER Lead. We have Carly McDougall from Campus Manitoba, who's the Special Projects Coordinator and OER Lead. Courtney Raymond from OpenStax, she's part of the Marketing and Communications team. And Tilly Jensen from Athabasca University is an Assistant Professor of Accounting. And we are going to, oops, I went too fast there. I wanted to go back just to the format. We're going to talk a little bit about affordability, and then OER in general, and then OER support services, an instructor experience, and then a panel discussion. And to start us off on the affordability issue, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Haley Babb. So we'll just go to Haley and
Awesome.
take it away.
Oh, perfect. Okay, let me just make sure I've got my slides all queued up. Are you guys able to see that?
I can see it, yep.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So thank you so much for having me out today. I'm really excited to come and chat to everybody. My name is Haley. I do some part-time remote work for Spark, but today I kind of wanted to speak more from my personal experience as a student and as an OER advocate. I've kind of been involved in this work through some of my student leadership, and it's just become a really, really big passion of mine. So I'm pleased to kind of be starting out today talking about the issue of affordability. For those of you who work with OER kind of on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure that you're already kind of well aware that affordability is kind of the driving factor behind student motivation to kind of ask for these resources and to be involved sometimes in their creation and dissemination. So I'm going to be focusing on that today. But there are a plethora of other reasons why students do love these resources that I'm sure we'll touch on later. So to get us going, if my slides will move, there we go. I wanted to start off talking about the true cost of higher ed and what financial challenges are present for students who are in pursuit of post-secondary education, particularly in Canada, but I think we'll find that a lot of these, if not directly statistically, do transfer over to the States. A lot of the sentiment behind these figures applies there as well. So currently in Canada, 50% of students are going into debt in order to finance their education. 32% of these are reporting going over $20,000 in loans upon graduation. So already we're seeing, just by entering post-secondary alone, the enormous financial undertaking that this is for a student. Typically, a Canadian student will require about $17,135 per year in order to fund their studies. This is pretty standard of a four-year undergraduate degree. But as we're seeing more and more often, education has become a very flexible thing, and a lot of students don't necessarily complete their degree in 4 years for a variety of other reasons. And so this number is definitely subject to change, but is certainly a standout number right off the bat. This kind of ties back to what I was just speaking about a moment ago. So students in Alberta, particularly where I'm from, we're seeing that they're working about 231% more than they did in 1975, simply in order to be able to finance their education. So on top of a full-time course load, most of our students are working part-time, one if not two jobs, just to stay afloat throughout their degree. It's no longer the case that, you know, students can have a summer job in the summertime and then come back and be able to fully pay for school. We're also seeing that undergraduate degrees have become somewhat universal, and really it's a good thing that there's been so much uptake in higher education, but that also means that the market is so much more competitive. So a lot of students are engaging in volunteerism, experiential learning, co-op placements in order to set themselves apart. So lots more time commitments there. We're also seeing that there's no longer such thing as a typical student in undergraduate post-secondary. No longer is it just simply the 18 to 22-year-old fresh high school graduates. We have mature students, rising levels of international students, students who are parents, students with learning disabilities. These kinds of demographics are becoming increasingly represented in higher ed, and we need to make sure that we are providing additional supports in order to help them make ends meet. So what have textbooks got to do with all this? The reason that textbooks is such a compounding issue, I think, is simply to do with how it's financed separately from regular tuition and fees. So this average cost of books actually has raised about 3 times the rate of inflation since the 1990s, which is definitely super concerning and definitely reason to raise flags about the publishing market and what's going on at a deeper level there. An average Albertan student can actually incur up to $7,000 over the course of a 4-year undergraduate degree. This is the stats that are recommended by some of the universities here. So that's an outstanding number, and it's compounded by the fact that students are not always able to predict these costs. So a student is given a figure over the summer about you know, what their upcoming fees are going to look like, but they're not always able to predict for their textbook costs in the same way. So these can vary greatly from semester to semester, and oftentimes, depending on where you live, your cost of your course materials may not always be covered by your student loans. So students have the ability to budget and pay for their tuition, but they're often guessing when it comes to their books. So this leads to a lot of scenarios where students can skip purchasing their books in order to finance other things like their rent or groceries, or especially for first-year students, this can look like the startup cost of actually going to school. So putting down deposits on an apartment, or you know, buying furnishing and stuff for that apartment so they're able to live. So OER is obviously a powerful alternative to these traditional textbooks, and I won't talk about it too much because I know some of the other speakers will go much more in depth in this topic, but I just wanted to bring it up as a student note to say that while OER is definitely a means for easing the financial burden of students, it's also very powerful for us in other ways. There's lots of studies to suggest that students who use OER in their classroom either perform just as well or better than traditional textbooks. But there's also a lot of research to support that the means of just having a student engage in either the creation or even just simply having these used in their classrooms, it shows that, you know, a professor cares and a professor is taking that extra mile to engage with the students and make sure that learning is an enjoyable experience. So while OER is definitely a great tool for driving down the cost, it's also a great pedagogical tool. So that's it for me. This is my information if you'd like to get a hold of me, but I'm happy to stick around and answer some questions at the end.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Let's go to the screen. Go back to me. Okay, so we're gonna just go back to me for a brief minute just to talk a little bit about OER. Thanks for the segue there, Haley. I appreciate it. As you can see on the screen, I've got a couple just sheer definitions about OER being teaching, learning, or research materials that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license that permit no-cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. And then from Spark, open education maximizes the power of the internet to make education more affordable, accessible, and effective. So OERs can include course notes, textbooks, lesson plans, worksheets, all the way up to full courses complete with readings, videos of lectures, homework assignments, and so on. To date, the OER community and its impact continues to grow. Measurable impact is seen with the use of OERs contributing to a decrease in college textbook costs. Some report as much as 26% since January of 2017. There's obviously a number of factors that contribute to that number decreasing, including more digital options, textbook rentals, and so on. But OER is definitely being credited for that decrease. So we're obviously extremely excited about that. And this webinar in general is focused more on OER in Canada, mainly because from my personal experience, we've been working in this landscape for about 6 years now, and the amount of awareness in Canada, I feel, it's growing, but it's possibly not at the same rate as it is in the US. And so when we go to conferences, academic conferences and whatnot, we're having to relay the idea of OER a whole lot more than we do in the US, which is part of the reason I wanted to do this webinar, is to help increase that and do it from a perspective that's not just academic conferences that are focused on one subject or another, and hopefully get some more interest at the actual institutional level, which I know organizations like BCcampus and eCampusOntario and Campus Manitoba are doing here in Canada, and of course OpenStax is doing a lot of it in the US. But I wanted to just basically introduce you all as working to expand access, contribute to the evolution of teaching and learning, and connecting students with the tools they need to be successful in the classroom. Your groups certainly support and foster OER and ultimately break down common barriers to learning in higher education. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda Coolidge of BCcampus. I'm just going to switch her to the presenter. And there you go, Amanda.
All right, thank you. I think I'm sharing my screen now. Can you all see that? Okay, let's see, I'll expand it. There we go. Okay, so thank you for inviting me. I'm Amanda Coolidge, the Associate Director of Open Education at BCcampus. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is the history of how we've become involved with open education and what we've been doing to support institutions in our province. So in 2003, BCcampus was first established, and it was a response from the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Training to the need that institutions were primarily looking at how to work in the area of distributed learning or online learning. And so our organization became was founded, and we started working in areas of educational technology, instructional design, and online learning. And even at that time, very early on, there was the beginnings of Creative Commons licensing and this opportunity for folks to take a look at how to share resources across the province. And so there was an initial funding that went out between 2003 and 2012 that basically said you can redesign a course, put an open license on it, and we need you to collaborate across institutions. So that happened. In 2012, we really saw the uptake of the need to bring on open textbooks. And the reason for that is basically we saw what was happening in the States with OpenStax, and our director, at the time, David Porter, he went ahead and pitched to the ministry to develop 40 open textbooks in the top 40 subject areas to work on that. 2013, we did the same, but then with 20 open textbooks in the trades and skills training. In 2015, we received a sizable grant from the Hewlett Foundation, and that was really to work on what is called a zero textbook cost program. So looking at ways which we can reduce entire entire programs through zero-cost textbooks. And then we've received some funding from our ministry as well in support of creating the Adult Basic Education Program, course material free. And what that means is it's the first program in North America to be both tuition free and course material free. And then in 2019, we were really fortunate to receive $3.26 million from our Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Training to really combat not only the issue of affordability, but also access and equity across the system. So to date, since the start of 2012, we've saved British Columbia students over $13.5 million. We've impacted more than 130,000 students, and we've been working with over 600 faculty to make this happen. The $3 million, just to give a brief update, is going to be used to move forward a little bit in terms of what we've already been doing. So areas that we have been working in are OER awareness raising, which we've done a lot of, open textbook collection, which now has over 270 books in the collection, and over 100 of those books are fully accessible to learners, and we continue to enhance the accessibility of those books. We've also been doing sizable research across the province and in Canada with a faculty fellows program, and we've been working with institutions to develop open policies, in particular with the University of British Columbia to create an open policy for their tenure track positions. So with all of that, we've sort of established this foundation, and with the $3 million, we knew we needed to take it up a little bit further. So the first thing we're looking at is an open source homework system. We recognize that ancillary resources are extremely expensive for students, as well as any kind of inclusive access program. So we're currently in conversations about how to make that happen. We're also working specifically on zero textbook cost programs for the trades, business, STEM, ECE, and health. We're looking at ways to improve searchability in order to enhance the adoption of open resources. We're also going to take a look at what does it mean for an institution to take on open education resources, and is there a return on investment for an institution to take a look at that. We're working with teaching and learning centers to move forward with teaching and learning capacity, in particular working with course developers, instructional designers, to take a look at what does open pedagogy mean, and how do you work with faculty to encourage more work in open pedagogy. And then lastly, we're in the preliminary stages of hiring a regional representative for the interior of British Columbia. We've just recently putting the finishing touches on a hire for a regional representative in the north. These will be open education advisors who will work with the smaller institutions in those more remote areas where we haven't been able to see as much uptake of open education resources, but we know there is a need. The other thing we are working on is what's called Open Education Sustainability Grants. So we put out a call for institutions to identify ways in which that they can sustain open education at their institutions. So if that means us giving them a grant for them to then distribute grants at their own institutions, then so be it. Or perhaps some of them are creating their own publishing infrastructures through the use of Pressbooks. Some are creating their own research agendas. But the bottom line is to be able to showcase to BC and the rest of Canada in terms of how their plan for sustainability is, so we can start moving this to more of an institutional perspective. There we go. So I just want to say thank you. And if you have questions, you're welcome to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amanda. We're going to switch it over to Lillian. And hopefully everything goes okay with the screen. Just want to make sure we've got you. Where are you, Lillian? Oh, you're self-muted, Lillian. So we can't hear you just yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
And am I sharing my screen?
You are, yes, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in a presentation mode. Everything still good?
No.
Hold on. Okay, sorry, I'll do it again. Just share my entire screen. There we go. All right. How's that?
Perfect. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'm Lillian Hogendorn. I'm the Digital Access and Open Educational Resources Lead at eCampusOntario. And I just wanted to start also by giving a little background on what is eCampusOntario for folks that don't know. So similar to BC Campus, we are funded by our Ministry of Training, Colleges and Universities with a focus on online and technology-enabled learning. And our membership is all of our 45 public colleges and universities in Ontario. So we work a lot with new educational technologies. We work a lot with open education. We work a lot with people that are interested in exploring those and building capacity in those areas. So we operate around three major principles. One, we want to lead through open and collaborative practices. We're very fortunate to have open really built right into that. Two, we're trying to build capacity amongst our institutions through things that are shared and through things that are collaborative. And three, we want to inspire innovation by pushing the envelope, by providing people with funding or other resources to push the envelope in their teaching and learning. I didn't realize there was a slide transition there. So we were started a little bit after BC Campus, and early days of eCampusOntario, we started focusing on open. We started focusing on really leveraging the interest of our most excitable educators and instructional designers and librarians in the province, and getting them to get excited about the new things that open could provide for them. So for that meant we started distributing grant funding to people to give them some of the resources and some of the space that they needed to play around with open content. So we spent a couple of years doling out quite a bit of funding for the development of OER or other open textbooks, other open content, or even the adoption or adaptation of different OER. And we also really focused on building up those members in our community who were those champions that were applying for those grants, that were really helping people understand what open education was, why it might be important to Ontario, why it might be important to them personally or their students. And we focused on two sort of main initiatives to help build these local champions at our 45 institutions. One was our Open Rangers program, which is an open conference that we were doing to bring folks in from across the province, get them all together in a room for a day, try to get some pretty even representation from our institutions, and get them to get really excited about open and bring back ideas to their campus. And the other thing we were working with was a smaller cohort of open education fellows who are people that are really interested in doing research or applied projects in their local institution, and wanted a small cohort to sort of go through that experience of implementing open or researching the effect of open on their campus. But we're a really big province. We have a lot of institutions. And these two things quickly have become sort of not scalable for us. We have way more advocates than we can fit into a room for 60 people, and we have way more than 8 people in the province that are doing research that is exciting around open. And we can't fund every single textbook. So right now, where we are is at a sort of shift to providing infrastructure and to moving beyond leading people into open into a place where we are empowering people to set their own benchmark for what open could look like on their campus. So to do that, we have 2 forms of infrastructure that we provide. First, we provide technical infrastructure. So something that we can provide to everybody is an open library, which is a collection of a little over 300 resources in English and in French for folks to adopt, adapt, remix, and discover new OER. So we recently relaunched our open library in March to build an infrastructure that reflected Ontario a little bit better, that was a little more accessible for folks in Ontario to upload their own content or to ask for things that they needed. And I really see it as that this is owned by our open advocates and by our open educators, and my job is just to implement features that are going to make their job easier. And then the other piece of technical infrastructure we provide is Pressbooks, which is a platform for publishing or creating or remixing OER. And not only are we a client of Pressbooks, but we also have worked really closely with Pressbooks on funding the development of features that we feel will have a really positive impact on Ontario educators. So you know, we have a unique population of Franco-Ontarian educators and colleges and students that we needed Pressbooks to be available in French for them. So that's the kind of thing that we work on directly with Pressbooks. And so for somebody to use Pressbooks, or for somebody to put something in the open library, we let them experiment, we let them play around in Pressbooks, and if they want it to be in the library, our only requirements are that things are accessible, that they have some kind of editable file, and that they are open. So we want to make sure that people know that when they go into our open library, they're not going to find anything that they can't remix. We're not going to find anything that's not open, and they're not going to find anything that they're going to have to worry about accessibility compliance for. All right. So this is an example of some of the stuff we've been working on with the library. So we've just been working on taking the feedback of our institutions and making a library that has the information that educators, instructional designers, students, librarians, whomever is interacting with an OER might need up front. So that includes things like our download count. How many times has this book actually been downloaded or used? That includes things like linking adaptations or remixed versions together by saying we have a Fundamentals of Business American edition, and here's the Canadian edition that was done in Ontario. So we work on developing technical features that just help make OER easier to find and to use. And then to address sort of our community piece, as we sort of outgrew our small programs, we have recently launched the Ontario Open Library Network, which is a community-driven space powered by eCampusOntario, where community members can come grow their interest in knowledge of open education, interact with each other, share the great things that they're doing, and get the tools that they need to become advocates on their campus. So we provide two pieces of infrastructure for that right now. A Slack channel, which is really exciting. We've got about 120 people in there in a bunch of different topics, you know, exchanging tips and tricks for running publishing programs on their campus. They are talking about project ideas and finding collaborators. There is a French channel that I don't know what's going on, but we have a Francophone employee that does, so I hear it's good. So we've got that space, trying to sort of make our community a little bit more scalable beyond what we can do within the confines of a physical event. And then we also have launched a resources drive where we're trying to provide people with the tools that they need for advocacy work on their campus. So whether that be a way to collect data about the need on their campus, some posters about just what is open education, templates for doing training on OER, training on licensing, training on Pressbooks, and a whole bunch of publishing guidelines. So blank memorandum of understanding, blank grant application or calls for proposals, just to really allow our institutions to stretch as much as they can and not have to sort of repeat that groundwork. And this has been a really exciting and effective strategy for us, and we're working on sort of measuring what this new phase looks like with a bunch of data visualization tools. So that's what we're working on right now. We've saved students in about 3 years just over $5 million in textbook costs. We have a wonderful front-end developer who works at helping me develop these tools for visualizing what that impact actually looks like. So we've had 10,000 plus downloads of textbooks since our library relaunched in March. He's built out this wonderful savings calculator that you can embed on your own site and that our own folks can use. We're working on sort of maps of what savings actually do look like in Ontario per institution. We're working on other kinds of interactive data visualizations that will allow people to sort of place themselves within the province and advocate for what they need on their campus to succeed. So that's really all I have. This is how you can contact me, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of the panelists speak.
Thanks so much, Lillian. We're going to turn it over to Carly now from Campus Manitoba. Go ahead, Carly.
Hello. I just want to make sure my screen is sharing appropriately.
Yep, I can see it.
Yep. All right, great. Hi, everyone. I want to start by thanking Tamsin and Lyryx Learning for asking us to join to speak on our Manitoba Open Textbook Initiative. My name is Carly McDougall. I am a Special Projects Coordinator for Campus Manitoba and the OER lead. Make sure these click. At Campus Manitoba, access to education is at the heart of everything we do. We work in collaboration with our 7 partner institutions to expand access to education and to connect students to opportunities that higher education provides. Our initiatives are a product of the province's strategic direction, and also it's a lot of grassroots collaboration that enhances mobility and increases access to education. My goal today is to tell you a little bit of where we started with our initiative, where we are today, and where we are heading. Campus Manitoba launched the Manitoba Textbook Initiative in 2015. The goal of the initiative is to make higher education more accessible for students by reducing the costs that students have to pay through the use of openly licensed textbooks. The government agreed to fund 25 reviews of the textbook repository, and to date we have 17 reviews completed, and it is part of our strategic goal for 2020 to have those other 7 completed as well. When we established the initiative in 2015, it was with great collaboration with our sister organization, BCcampus. The website was built to support the BCcampus textbook repository, and it allows Manitoba students, faculty, and staff to browse, view, and download any of the open textbooks in the repository. I can't stress enough how important collaboration is to Campus Manitoba, and I know the other organizations within Canada. We in Manitoba are just so impressed with the momentum that is going on within Canada, and we just love that we can build on each other's work and help to promote this amazing initiative in Manitoba. So collaboration is a massive part of where we began with our initiative. With any initiative, I'm sure you all know that presentations and connecting on that grassroots level is a massive part of open education. And so we started our initiative, or my predecessors started this initiative, with going and talking to the 7 partner institutions, taking any presentation that was asked for, and we still continue to do that today. We have literally given presentations to groups of up to 40 and to as little as 1, and we will continue to do so. Anyone who wants to hear about it, we want to tell them. So that takes us to where we are currently. I started with Campus Manitoba in May of 2018. At the time, the initiative was very much in its infancy. I'm excited to say that we're heading into toddlerhood. Sorry, my daughter turned 3 yesterday, and so I'm excited. Anyways, we started the initiative in 2018, and the student savings was about $170,000. We were doing a lot of presentations, and we had just started collaborating with Red River College on an OER pilot project. Over the past year and a half, we've been able to increase our website users by 70%. We have so many more people contacting us about grants and what that could look like, how to create an OER, and we're seeing that momentum build, which is just so exciting for us. Speaking of exciting, we are at over $960,000 of student savings within Manitoba. We're so proud of the faculty who have been able to allow this to happen. We have 5,500 students in Manitoba who've been impacted by the initiative. We have 27 adoptions, 17 reviews completed. And this number reflects the year-over-year savings of faculty who have adopted these textbooks and continue to use the OERs within their courses. So we're very excited that we are $40,000 away from hitting $1 million in savings. One of the big things that we started working on with Red River College and the Manitoba Flexible Learning Hub was collaborating on our first OER pilot project. This past March, we completed the first stage of the pilot project, which is a resource for teaching instructional methods in adult education. Through the project, we created a framework for the whole OER, the table of contents, we created a user guide for the individuals who will be using the OER, and then one of the 12 modules that will make up the OER. As well, just the other day, we saw Red River came out with a promotional video, which we've been working with them, supporting them with, to be able to promote this OER across Manitoba and garner the attention of the other institutions and get subject matter experts to work with them to create the other 11 modules, which we're so excited to be a part of and work with them on. So, where does this take us? Well, we are looking forward to publishing our first Manitoba-made OER through the support of Campus Manitoba. We are in the process of going through our first sprint, so it's really exciting and a learning process for us. So we are just so happy to collaborate with our partners and be able to learn together as we create this OER in our province. So we're really proud of that. As everyone has discussed, champions are a huge part of the initiative. Like Lillian said, really, it is the champions who are pushing this initiative forward, and we are here to provide that support and information and motivation to keep going and to help provide access for students for OERs. So one of the things that we really want to focus on is really recognizing those champions and not just saying, oh, we want champions, but there are champions already in this province, amazing people who are doing amazing work. So this year, we are really proud that we not only get to work with those partner institutions, but we're also working with the University of Manitoba Student Union. And we are just so proud of the work that they're doing. They have made it a major part of their OERs, a major part of their platform. They have worked and they're working with the faculty within the school to be able to create a space for OERs, promote that. We're doing presentations at the end of October for them during Open Access Week. So we're just really motivated by how motivated they are to bring OERs to the University of Manitoba and all the work that they're doing. So we just want to celebrate those champions. And part of celebrating those champions is we are going to be celebrating them on the week of Open Education Week. So we really want to make sure that it's a day of recognizing their efforts, inspiring them, and giving them the motivation to keep talking about OERs, reporting any adoptions that they know of, and continuing to do this really great work. So we're really excited about the momentum that has really kind of taken place in Manitoba, and it's so wonderful to work with such incredible people throughout Canada to be able to make these changes and create access to education for students. So our little our initiative we are so proud of, and we continue to want to support the individuals in this province who also want to create that access for students as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Carly.
Thank you.
Right now, we're going to turn it over to Courtney from OpenStax.
Yes.
So go ahead, Courtney.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Great. And can you see my face?
No, your
Okay.
webcam is not on.
All right. Here we go.
And your screen is about half. I don't know if you go into presentation mode, if that'll be better. I'm not sure.
That should help. Let's see.
There we go. Perfect.
Great. Okay. So I'm really excited to be talking with you guys. I'm Courtney Raymond, and I'm a marketing manager at OpenStax, which I'll tell you a little bit more about who we are as we go on. But I'm really honored and excited to be talking with you guys and alongside all of the earlier presenters who are all a part of this shared mission of increasing access for students. So to go into a little bit about us, who are we? Who is OpenStax? We are a nonprofit, and we're based at Rice University in Houston. There should be a period after Texas, but so yeah, so we're actually a department within Rice. We started back in 2012, and we've grown to be one of the largest publishers of open educational resources for higher education. Our mission is to improve access and to improve learning. And the way that we've been able to publish OER is largely through philanthropic supporters like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Hewlett Foundation, and many more. But we're also sustained by partnerships with learning tech companies like Lyryx, who's been an amazing partner, who are allies in striving for student success. And I've included this little OpenStax ally logo, which you can see on the website of any of our partners who have integrated our content and are working towards that common goal.
Courtney, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're just still on, we're not in presentation mode on the screen. So I don't know if it's doing something different for you. We can see your slides on the left. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. All right, then we'll just stay. Sorry about that. You'd think these things would be figured out by now by me, but yeah, we can just stay in this mode just to make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing.
It's a little smaller now though, Courtney. I don't know.
Okay. Let me try this again. All right. Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
Great, perfect. Okay, so this was the slide I was on a second ago. All right, so as you've heard over and over again, and I'm sure already know, one of the major barriers to education can be textbooks. It's not everything, but it's one of many costs that are a burden, that can be a burden to students. And there's a stat out there that quotes the cost for textbooks anywhere from $600 to $1,200 per semester. And as you heard Haley mention earlier, she said that it can be up to $7,000 throughout a student's education, which is really sizable. And as mentioned, a lot of students can plan for certain costs like tuition, but then you never know exactly how much of a cost your textbooks are going to be. It really is dependent on what is assigned. So, what we do is we publish openly licensed textbooks that are available online for free, and we started with the highest enrolled undergraduate courses to try to be able to impact the most amount of students. So our books go through the same peer review process as traditional textbooks do. So they're similar quality to your traditional textbook. It's just that you can access them online for free, no logins required. They cover standard scope of introductory courses, so they are ready to adopt, but since they're openly licensed, instructors can remix, reuse, revise, and redistribute them. They can use whatever portions they want. They can combine our content with other content that's open or that they've created. And a little bit more about them. They're available in a bunch of different formats, so students and instructors can choose the format that works for them. So they're in a browser-based version. We have them in iPhone and Android apps, PDF, iBooks, Kindle, and we now also have them available for print in Canada for low cost. And those run, we sell them almost at cost in print. So our partner Vreta is now enabling us to distribute them in Canada, which I'm really excited about. So if you are looking for print versions or any of the other versions, you can find them on our website, openstax.org. And some other aspects of them that make them helpful for instructors, or that can be a selling point, is that they do come with free ancillaries for instructors and students, so that we can further support instruction. And then we also have optional learning technology from our partners, again, like Lyryx, that integrates our content at a low cost. So we now have 36 textbooks in our library, and we continue to grow the library each year. Now that we've covered most of the introductory courses, most of the most popular introductory courses, we are seeking funding to continue in verticals, so that eventually a student would be able to complete an entire degree using free textbooks, which is similar to what I've heard from some of the earlier presenters. So I'm really excited that a lot of us are kind of seeking this way to move forward and work together to lessen the burden for students as they continue in their education. So just to look at our impact so far, 9 million students have used OpenStax textbooks since our first one was published in 2012. And this academic year alone, there'll be 3 million. And we've estimated that we've saved students about $830 million on textbooks since 2012. We've been adopted by 6,900 institutions worldwide, and that's in over 100 countries. And this was something that one of our instructors shared with us, who was an early adopter of OpenStax books. Our students shouldn't have to choose between buying textbooks and buying groceries. And the reason that students or that instructors seek open textbooks varies, of course, but a large reason for that is that they see the burden that the financial cost can be to students. And this is a way that they can kind of address that problem while still having all of the content that they need to teach their course. So it will follow the basic scope and sequence of the textbook that they're already using, but they know that they can offer it to students for free. They can change up the order or mix it in with other stuff. There's more flexibility. But something you may wonder is, what can students do? Because a lot of times instructors are the decision makers. So a few things that we have recommended to students before is to make an appeal to your professor. So you can send a message to your professors and kind of just tell them, this is an important issue to me. There's this website that has free books that you can use. Would you like to check out the book for your course? And they're able to review the entire content of the book online, so they can make a decision whether it fits the needs of the course or not without having to commit to anything. Another thing we recommend is amplifying your message through student media, similarly to what I mentioned before. You can also use our books as a resource. So if your book hasn't come in yet and classes have started, for example, or if you just need extra information on a topic, you can always use the content in our books online as an additional resource or as a stopgap until your books come in. You can talk about it on social media. So the more people we have talking about OpenStax books or about open resources in general, the more recognition there is. Another thing that we've seen students do at various different campuses is to run a thank you campaign. So getting together with other students and finding out which instructors do offer open resources as the primary textbook in their course, and creating a public thank you campaign using posters and letters and whatnot to bring awareness to the rest of the campus that this is something that other instructors on your campus are doing and that it's making a difference to students. So it's kind of a positive pressure on others to investigate that. And then join your OER task force or start an OER task force. And I'm sure a lot of you in student unions, that may be something that you already have the tools to do. And then for administrators, we found we really advocate for educating instructors on open options that you have found and that you know exist, while still supporting academic freedom. So we always try to emphasize to our instructors that we want them to retain their choice for what works best for their course, but that there are these options out there that may be good for them. And another resource that we can offer is that we have an institutional partner program, and it's designed to help a team of admins and instructors on a campus create a strategy that dramatically increases the use of OER. So that relieves a significant burden and also ensures that students have access to materials from the first day of class, which is crucial to student success. And our most recent cohort of 9 schools will see 100,000 students using OER in their courses this year. And so that strategy is for adopting not just OpenStax, but OER in general, to educate and support instructors on how they can do that in their courses. And if you are curious about that, you can learn more at openstax.org/institutional-partnership. And you can sign up for updates on that, or just kind of see what the program looks like and go from there. And that's all that I have. I have my contact information here, Courtney Raymond at rice.edu, if you're interested in learning more. Or you can also just always visit openstax.org, play around, look at the content. But I encourage you to reach out if you do have questions. And thanks so much for letting me talk with you today.
Thanks a ton, Courtney. We're going to go over to our last presenter, Tilly Jensen, who is out of Athabasca University. And go ahead, Tilly.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen here. Let me do this slideshow. Can everybody hear me, I hope?
Yep, you're good, Tilly.
Okay, great. Let me start. Okay, so I've been using OER for a number of years at Athabasca University, and I'm delighted to hear that there is a large movement across Canada. I have my own personal experience, and that drives what I think needs to happen, and I'll get to that in a minute. Just a quick overview, why the move to OER resources, the pilot that we did in the courses that OER resources that I use. I do want to point out that Athabasca University is an online post-secondary institution. We don't have face-to-face interactions with our students. Everything is on. I want to look at the costs and benefits, sustainability and lessons learned, and I will entertain questions throughout. Please do ask. Why the move to OER? Well, we were getting to the point where the cost of a textbook in accounting was going over $2,000 per student, just in intro financial. Course revisions were tied to a publisher's 3-year cycle, and I don't know if people are aware of this out there, but whether there's a change in accounting or not, publishers will change accounting textbooks once every 3 years, which kills the used book market. A lot of the textbooks in accounting are super technical, and an instructor will not teach everything that is in an accounting textbook. So what's being taught to some extent is personal preference. The core is common because what drives accounting education in Canada is the CPA professional accounting designation. So you'll find that all of the post-secondaries pretty much teach identical content when it comes to accounting. there's lots of collaboration that could occur that isn't happening. Publisher resources such as test banks are not secure, and we see a lot of instructors using test banks for their exams, and it's on the internet the minute publishers put this stuff out there to instructors. It's just impossible to keep things secure. So there's all sorts of reasons why OERs are an advantage. The pilot that we did started with Lyryx Interactive Accounting. We did Accounting 253. We have 1,600 to 1,700 students per year register in that course at Athabasca University. There was an accounting textbook available on the OER Commons. We took that, adjusted it a fair bit to meet our personal needs. Pardon me. We created video tutorials, which are also OER resources, as well as problems with solutions. We also have sample exams, and because we did not change the final exam questions other than the numbers to allow for comparability, what we found was that there was no statistical difference in student grades as a result of moving to an OER resource. Our student satisfaction surveys were unchanged from the move to OERs. So based on that pilot, which started in 2015, we have seen a cost savings in that course of over $1.2 million, and that's significant. Again, because of that pilot, in January 2017, we received a large grant from, which was then CMA Alberta, and we were able to have two authors write Intermediate Financial Accounting 1 and Intermediate Financial Accounting 2. We've seen realized cost savings of over $405,000 since the implementation of those OER resources. Again, and this is one institution in Alberta. It just blows my mind to think what we could save students in intro financial accounting and intermediate financial accounting across Canada if these resources were actually used nationally. Some important considerations in terms of costs and benefits. Partnerships are key. You have to partner. Our partnership with Lyryx, Athabasca University has a partnership with Lyryx. They compensate the authors for updating the materials. Accounting does change, believe it or not, and those changes have to be incorporated into the content, including the problem material and other assessments. So Lyryx compensates the authors for that. As I already mentioned, we received a $140,000 grant from the professional accounting body. That was key to getting our intermediate materials off the ground. Athabasca University itself contributed editorial resources to ensure that quality existed. And the total savings to date exceed $1.6 million just for those 3 courses at one post-secondary institution. So does OER work? Absolutely. Students in Intermediate 1 have free access to intro financial OER resources to review and prepare. And if anybody knows anything about accounting, if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's critical for students to have access to the prerequisite course materials so that they can review. Students no longer have to be concerned about what chapters or pages are eliminated, that their instructor has eliminated, because that can be done out front. And the only content that appears in front of the student is the content that is actually covered. So it's customizable by the instructor, which is beautiful. And as I already mentioned, there's no statistical difference that we found in grades as a result of changing to OERs. Lessons learned. If I could do this all over again, one of the things I would do, this is a point lower down, is I would have worked harder at collaborating with instructors at other post-secondary institutions so that everybody was a stakeholder in the final product and actually used it. It's hard after the fact to convince people to use an OER that they did not contribute to. So for those of you who are with OER, I implore upon you that you involve faculty who have OERs to work with other faculty members across Canada and ensure that they are stakeholders in the product. I know the bodies are provincial in nature. It's the way our education system is in Canada, but if we want this to go national, I think that's absolutely key. We have to work across borders, provincial borders. Students are demanding, and I heard this from other presenters, students are demanding a seamless digital environment regarding their online, all of their resources. It eliminates financial, geographical, and digital issues. So OERs, in my opinion, being an online faculty member, it eliminates multiple barriers that are there for students. Thanks. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding OERs, please contact me, tillyj@athabascau.ca. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Tilly. Pardon me. So I just want to open it up to a bit of a panel discussion if people have questions. We're going to just chat a bit about OER. If you have questions about some of the support services or Tilly's experience or whatnot, if you just want to throw a conversation, or pardon me, a comment or whatnot in the chat, that would be awesome. I know we've gone a little long, so we've lost a few participants, but ultimately, you know, if you have a question for anybody, I think everyone has included their communication contact details in their presentation, so that's also an option too if you want to reach out to people directly. But I'll allow for a little bit. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen? No?
Can see.
Oh.
Oh, we can see you.
You can see me, but can you see my screen?
Yep.
To be shared?
Yep, we can see the screen as well.
Okay.
It just says panel discussion.
Okay, fantastic. Awesome, thanks guys. Okay, well, nobody is jumping in with questions. Did any of the presenters have any closing comments with regard to anything that was mentioned today? Is there anything that pops up as a topic? I personally was really impressed by, you know, everyone's tracking of the, you know, the impact they're making, mainly from a financial perspective, but also, you know, the adoption numbers and whatnot. I know that those are really hard to track for those of us who are doing OER. So congrats to everyone on all the hard work, because I know it is hard work. Okay. Amanda says she's proud to be part of this.
Tamsin, Tilly here. I would just like to invite Manitoba, Ontario, and BC to have accounting faculty who might be interested in intro financial or intermediate financial to take a look at what we've done in terms of OER, because what they're teaching would be identical to what is in the content currently in Lyryx, the OER packages.
Yeah, that'd be great. Brittany says she loves seeing the information on Athabasca University because she's an AU student herself. And Amanda will be.
Oh, awesome.
We invited quite a few members of students' unions to attend because we really wanted student advocates as well in Canada. I think we see it constantly on the agendas for VP academics and presidents and whatnot, and we want to do everything we can to help them with that, because we know that sometimes it's an uphill battle for students to try and get those adoptions happening. But this is great for people being able to reach out to certain services. And I liked Courtney's comments for students and what they can do locally to try and encourage OER adoption. But yeah, I think, it's been over an hour, so everyone's probably hungry. I know it's lunchtime here. Thanks so much to the outstanding panel. You guys did amazing, and we're so grateful for everything you're doing in the OER community and in higher education. And thanks to everyone who joined us. And if you do have any further questions or concerns and you want to reach out, you can certainly chat with us at Lyryx, and we can put you in touch with others, or we'll do our best to help you here. So yeah, thanks so much, everyone. I hope everyone has a great rest of their hump day, and yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.